Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Basics of Personal Finance. Today's program is part of the monthly Financial Skills Building series, which is an ongoing collaboration between the San Francisco Public Library and the San Francisco Office of Financial Empowerment. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the Personal Finance Librarian at SFPL's Business Science and Technology Center. And while we give folks a few more moments to join the webinar, I'm going to take the opportunity to highlight some of the events we have coming up in March and April, and to provide some more information on how to access other library resources to help you navigate your finances. First, if you need closed captions during this presentation, click on the Show Captions button in the Zoom menu. If you don't see it immediately, click on the More button. The San Francisco Public Library acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. All right, you can visit the Business Science and Technology Center on the fourth floor of the main library. Email us at bizscitech@sfpl.org or give us a call at 415-557-4488. And you can also contact us through our chat reference service, which can be found on the library's homepage. Look for the Chat with Us button or scroll down to the Contact Us link. And I will post all the contact information and other links in the chat in just a moment. To find out more about all the business and finance resources that we offer, head to the library's homepage, where you can find us under the Research and Learn tab, or you can go directly to our landing page at sfpl.org/bst. And if you're interested in recordings of our past programs, you can visit the library's YouTube channel. Our personal finance, small business, and jobs and careers recordings can be found at on.sfpl.org/success. And our tax season success series continues through the end of March. Some upcoming topics include taxes, how to stay out of trouble, and a practical guide to taxes for artists, creatives, and freelancers, as well as an in-person workshop on recent changes to federal tax legislation. You can head to sfpl.org/tax-season-success for full descriptions and to register. You can also get tax preparation help at the library every Friday through April 10th at the Bayview Linda Brooks Burton branch. You can go in person to the library to make an appointment. And we're also excited to offer opportunities for free 30-minute legal consultations on federal income tax issues through a partnership with the San Francisco Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. The clinic specializes in assisting taxpayers with IRS controversies and has the goal of providing clear guidance and support for those navigating federal tax challenges. Consultations will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. Please check in at the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic table in the atrium lobby of the main library on the dates listed here to make a same-day appointment. There are no income limits for these consultations. And finally, we are thrilled to announce our annual Financial Capability Month series of programs. Throughout April, we team up with experts to provide presentations and workshops on a range of personal finance topics. You can see some of the topics we'll be covering here, including a lot more. Visit on.sfpl.org/FCM for more information and to register for individual events. And you can stay updated about all of our services and upcoming programs via our events calendar or by subscribing to our once-a-month email newsletter. Scan the QR codes here or follow the links on this slide. All right, that is all for me. I'm now going to hand it over to Hafiza from the Office of Financial Empowerment, who will provide more information about the Financial Empowerment Center and introduce today's presenter. Thank you, Hafiza.
Thank you, Jonathan, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here for the San Francisco Financial Counseling's webinar, Basics of Personal Finance. which we're hosting in partnership with the San Francisco Public Library. A little bit about us. San Francisco Financial Counseling is one of the flagship programs of the Office of Financial Empowerment, which is part of the Treasurer and Tax Collector's Office here in San Francisco. Our mission in the Office of Financial Empowerment is pretty straightforward. We bring people together, come up with new ideas, and advocate for ways to help all San Franciscans strengthen their economic security and mobility. I'm Hafiza, and I'm with the Policy and Communications team for the Treasurer and Tax Collector's Office. Some of you may know San Francisco Financial Counseling, which was formerly known as Smart Money Coaching, provides free one-on-one financial counseling to anyone who lives, works, or receives services in San Francisco, regardless of immigration status or income bracket. Our service is open to as many people as possible. The financial counseling services are funded by multiple San Francisco city departments, and the services are provided by different service providers who have expertise in providing financial capability services to various communities in San Francisco. Balance is one of those service providers, and our San Francisco financial counselor joining us today is from Balance. Before I introduce our counselor, just a couple housekeeping items. This will be an interactive presentation, so feel free to share responses and questions in the chat. We'll try our best to respond to your questions as they come and make some time available at the end as well. You can also submit questions through the Q&A function, and we'll do our best to answer those questions as they come in. This session is being recorded, and the recording and slides will be made available to all those who registered for this event. And with that, let me introduce you to today's presenter. Today we have Carlos, who is a certified financial counselor and educator with a background in economics. A graduate of the University of California, Santa Cruz, he discovered his passion for personal finance during the pandemic and has since dedicated his career to supporting people in building stronger financial futures. And with that, take it away, Carlos.
Alrighty, thank you. Thank you, Havisa. Thank you. The program overview, warm welcome and warm introduction. And as she mentioned, is going to be an interactive presentation today, everyone. I am running a one-man show today. Usually, if you guys have stopped in, taken the time to join in on our previous webinar sessions, usually we're accompanied or we're accompanying each other with a co-host. But today I'll be doing my best one, deliver the material in an engaging way. Hopefully, I don't bore you guys. I think this is going to be a wonderful topic to talk about. It pertains to, well, the fundamentals of basic personal finance. And just to read again, I am a financial counselor with Balance Financial Wellness, a profit organization. We are the service provider for this wonderful program brought to you by the City of San Francisco, offering free confidential one-on-one counseling sessions. I will be doing my best to also, like I said, monitor the chat. Ideally at a reasonable and so forth. But just wanted to also ensure you guys know in the chat section or the chat box is a file there, a PDF file for Basics of Personal Finance handout that you guys are welcome to take a look at, save down, and use it. Use it. You can follow along, or you can use it as a moving forward from today's presentation. And there's also a direct link if you are interested in doing a financial counseling session with myself, whether it's in person at a San Francisco Public Library, a webinar, or virtual call, or even a phone conversation or consultation, you can feel free to schedule that with myself or any one of my fellow financial colleagues. All right, show on the road. Basics of Personal Finance is the presentation we're going to be covering today. The goal focus on building stability and resilience with you. Again, welcome. Thank you again for taking the time, have till 1 o'clock for this scheduled webinar. The materials provided in this guide, course, webinar, and other educational content are for general information and educational purposes only. The information presented does not constitute financial tax, or other professional. Balance does not provide legal tax or planning services. That's just a quick disclosure. Well, to ensure the information is accurate, laws, regulations, and financial sciences can change. We recommend consulting with qualified accountant, financial advisor, or appropriate professionals before making decisions based on the content provided. All right. Let's see. So, what are our learning objectives today? By the end of our webinar workshop, you will be able to understand financial wellness as an ongoing practice, not a one-time achievement. In essence, that means focusing on taking key valuable points from the material and applying it to your overall financial well-being. This pertains to identifying and creating positive habits or positive reinforcement that can help you achieve your financial goals. Another objective is to recognize common habits, stressors, and patterns that influence money decisions. We live in a world with an abundance of influences, whether it's from, online social media, our personal network, and so forth. Sometimes these can feel overwhelming. Okay, so that we're going to recognize these aspects. We're also going to look to identify the core building blocks of a strong financial foundation. If we're going to compare this to, for example, building a home takes time. It's done, step by step, and you start off with, the foundation. No pun intended. Understand how income, spending, credit, saving, and planning all work together, how they all interrelate, interconnect, and intertwine. And last but not least, we're going to choose at least one small, meaningful step to strengthen your financial foundation moving forward. Okay. So, what is, let's see. All right. So, what is financial wellness? Financial wellness is an ongoing practice, not a finish line. Um, think of it maybe as a marathon, a lifelong marathon. You're not looking to accomplish per se a sprint. If we're gonna see, if I as a counselor myself, I like speaking in sports analogies. So that's one way to look at it. It's about having habits, systems, and awareness that help you. So identifying habits or trigger points, creating a system or a game plan strategy per se, and being aware, otherwise known as being conscientious about things, will help you feel financially well off. The awareness here, the tools that help you are to manage your day-to-day expenses, handle some unexpected costs, and feel confident making money decisions and plan for the future. These all pertain to the systems, habits, and awareness as part of overall financial wellness. Okay. All right. Why managing money often feels hard. I myself am victim to this. I feel this at times. I'm sure all of you can relate. How money management can feel overwhelming, feel challenging, or feel difficult. So just letting you guys know that's completely normal, right? Nothing in life is easy, and especially as it pertains to our personal finances, it's not as cookie cutter or straightforward. Money decisions are constant, are ongoing. They're ever changing. Sometimes you have to make decisions on the fly. Sometimes you're planning, something out ahead and so forth. And that goes well with or that goes that falls with the notion that making money decisions or managing money can feel stressful. And when you have a time sensitive obligations, and that pressure can make us feel overwhelmed. Um, they're influenced by habits, emotions, and past experiences. Feeling overwhelmed is a signal, not a personal failure. All of these talking points really relate to, how our financial wellness and money management, can be a part of our own kind of therapeutic relationship, right? Um, Sometimes I like to as a financial counselor or coach, I like to tell especially first time clients or ongoing clients. Sometimes, they I've been informed that I'm kind of like I could be sometimes their money management therapist, right? So, like I said, managing money is hard. It can be stressful, it can be emotional, but always having that support system and being able to talk to somebody about it and realize that matters a lot, right? So, all right, so I have a case study here, and I guess this is going to be a good opportunity to ensure that you guys to use the chat system. I'm going to go ahead and play this case study. I'll be monitoring the chat and let me to see if you guys can hear this. Okay, so
Carlos, it doesn't appear that
got it.
the
Yep.
recording has gone through.
All right, that can't. So you guys couldn't hear that. I'm not sure what the technical um
Carlos, if
assessment
I
there
can
is.
just chime in,
Yeah.
when you share there's an option to enable sound. So if you stop sharing your screen and then start sharing again, there'll be an option to enable.
Okay. Let me just quickly look into that. Sorry, guys. So I'm gonna stop sharing screen here. In the advanced setting per se,
Yeah, I
advanced
should. Yeah, there should be a sound enable sound option.
computer audio, share sound
Share sound. Yep, there you go.
should be okay. Come on, share sound. Okay. All right, this should work. So let's try again. So I went to advanced. All right. So I'm gonna quickly hit play. Feel free to interrupt me if you guys don't, or Havita if you don't hear it.
No, we can't hear it.
I'm gonna try one more time. Otherwise, I'll give you the gist of that case study, guys. Okay. Optimize share sound. Optimize for video sharing. All right. One more time.
I'm sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop open, about to pay my bills, and I already feel tense.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes, we hear
All
it.
right. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Sorry, guys.
I'm sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop open, about to pay my bills, and I already feel tense. I make enough to cover things on paper, but it never feels that simple. By the time my paycheck hits, it feels like it's already spoken for. Rent, utilities, groceries, my car payment, my credit card. I log into my bank account and start doing mental math. If I pay everything today, what's left? If I wait on one bill, which one can wait? My credit card balance stands out. I use it for flexibility, but lately it hasn't gone down the way I planned. I keep thinking I'll deal with this next month, but next month keeps coming. I know I should be saving more, but saving always feels like something I'll do after everything else is handled, if there's anything left. I also keep pushing future things aside: retirement, taxes. I remember being surprised by my tax bill last year and promising myself I'd be more prepared. I wasn't. As I sit there, I realize it's not that I don't care about my money. It's that everything feels connected, overwhelming, and I don't know where to start. I just want to feel more confident, like my money is supporting my life instead of stressing me out every month.
So yeah, how many of you guys can relate to what was said in this case study about everything feeling overwhelming, identifying certain behaviors or goals that you wanted to work on, and maybe putting things on the back burner, sweeping things under the rug, delaying on taking any action as it pertains to your personal financial goals and well-being. By a show of hands, and feel free to use the chat. How many of you guys can resonate with that? You know, I know myself on I can and I have. So let's quickly go into the chat real quick. Totally relatable. Absolutely. Let's see. Any other takes? On here. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's very relatable, and there's and nothing to be ashamed of, right? We all go through these feelings. But being, like I said, the first step is to be conscientious and actually have a game plan, establish a game plan working, on these goals with yourself. You can do this on your own with your friends or support system, or like I said, schedule a counseling session and work with a financial coach like myself. But let's keep moving along here for the sake of time so we can talk a little more about the concepts that, relate and interconnect with this case study, right? So let's go here into the next section. All right, poll question. When it comes to managing your money, what feels hardest right now? So, we got A, B, C, D, E. Feel free to, elect a particular letter or combination of letters. Heck, you could even put all of them per se, right? So, A, keeping up with the day-to-day expenses. B, knowing where my money is going. C, managing debt or credit card balances. D, saving consistently. Or E, planning for the future. I will check the chat here, guys, so feel free to type away. Type away. Let's take a look here. Okay, we got E's. A ton of E's. E's is definitely the number one answer so far. A, C, D, B, E. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, all of these are valid feelings. So let's take a deep dive look into all of these, right? So okay. Oh, go back. All right, one forward. So, what feeling overwhelmed about money can look like? Feeling overwhelmed doesn't always necessarily mean you're in a crisis point. It just could be that you are stressed. It's taking a toll on your mind, your body, your soul. Doesn't, like I said, mean that there's necessarily a financial crisis per se, but we're being conscientious in the sense that we're identifying something that we need to work on, and maybe that sense of not taking action or not being able to take action for whatever outside influences that we can't control sometimes is all part of that overwhelming feeling, right? So it may show up as as it pertains to personal finances and specific things that make us feel overwhelmed. This could be, for example, avoiding checking balances or bills, feeling anxious when spending, even on necessities. Sometimes that triggers us in a negative way. Even though we have to pay, for example, rent and food and utilities and the car note and the cell phone and so forth. Um, you know, knowing what to do, but feeling stuck. Not having maybe a sense of direction can make you feel overwhelmed. Putting off decisions because they feel too big. Like I said, that could tie into the notion of, not taking action, maybe some procrastination, putting things under the, sweeping things under the rug or putting things in the back burner. That definitely ties to that point. Feeling behind when comparing finances to others. Yeah, we live in a day in society, like I said, with social media, our close friends, peer groups, colleagues, and so forth. You feel like you're maybe falling behind. Maybe you're not doing as good as quote unquote good as you should be, and so forth. Sometimes I like to tell myself, as it pertains to whether it's personal finances or any other aspects of your life, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So, sometimes it's better to, stay grounded, stay within your lane, understand that everybody's different. Trying to compare yourself to others and potentially making you feel less is, not a good way to go about things, and that can definitely make you feel overwhelmed. So, these reactions point to stress and not a lack of ability per se, right? So, these are just causing stress, but you can, in essence, you can take action on these, right? As long as you identify them and actually, roll your sleeves up and get to it, right? So let's go to the next point. How financial wellness is built. Managing your money is like building a house. I talked about that earlier. You don't build everything at once. You're not going to accomplish everything overnight. You're not going to get, that expedited 2-day shipping to deliver your, financial wellness goals and dreams, right? Each layer supports the next. Maintenance matters over time, just like, buying a home or building a home. You need to maintain and upkeep it, right? So financial wellness is built step by step, just like a house, right? Or a building or whatever per se, right? So the foundation, going back to that, the base is awareness, mindset, and habits. So every strong structure starts with a solid foundation. A weak foundation can ultimately, the home can crumble, can collapse, can lead to a crisis, right? So, starting off with a solid foundation is the key point here. This includes, for example, your awareness of where your money goes. Checking your balances, identifying, what is my spending pattern, right? So identify, where your money goes, understanding the habits, and stress triggers that you may be feeling, right? And recognizing that, and it's also important, for a strong foundation that recognizing and learned beliefs about money is important. Okay. Awareness creates choice and reduces pressure, right? So that, like I said, is all about being conscientious, right, and aware. So let me check the chat and see if we have any quick questions. Da-da. All right. No clear questions here so far, so that's good. I think I'm making it. It's good on my part, I think. I'm explaining things, but feel free to, like I said, shoot any questions that you may have. All right. Let's go. Revisiting our income is a key point here, as it pertains to growth, skills, and career progression. Revisiting income is part of maintaining your financial foundation. Your income is going to be, your number one tool for, wealth creation, right? It's going to be your number one tool for making ends meet. So it's very important to focus on your income, growth, skills, and career advances, right? So, your income will affect what you spend, how much you save, and or how much you retain, right? Sometimes we're in the notion that, we may find ourselves earning more, and as we earn more, we might find ourselves spending even more. And you actually might be in the same place as you were when you were making less and not being able to spend as much, right? So, it's not about sometimes how much you earn, but how much you can retain, right? And it works both ways, right? So, how much you can save, how much debt feels manageable, how much debt can you, realistically take on given your income, or how much can you end up, aggressively paying back based on your income. So it's your number one tool for creating wealth as it pertains to saving and investing and so forth. But it's also your number one tool when it comes to getting out of sticky situations like getting out of debt, right? Or being able to manage a debt. And of course, how quickly can you reach your goals? Whether it's you're looking to save, for an emergency fund, save for a down payment for a mortgage, whether you're looking to save for that deposit to get a rental, for example, saving for an automobile, or whatever goal, or saving to get out of debt, pay off your student loans, credit cards, and so forth. Then your income is going to be very important. For you to reach your goals. So financial wellness includes managing income today and planning for growth over time. Okay. So let's go here to the next slide. All right. Banking. Setting up the right financial accounts. Your bank accounts are the infrastructure of your financial foundation. Having the right accounts helps you avoid unnecessary fees, access your money easily, separate spending, saving, and bills. It can help automate your healthy financial habits. It is your fortress for protecting and managing your money. Whether you are banking with a big commercial bank or your local credit union, these entities offer tons of perks and protections for your hard-earned dollars, right? If you're currently unbanked, this is a topic that I talk about with my clients. Sometimes you're in a situation where you're unbanked, or you're using an alternative financial service. I'm going to quickly plug a valuable resource provided by OFE here, or the city of San Francisco, which is Bank on SF. If you quickly Google Bank on SF, you will be able actually to compare what are the requirements to open a safe and affordable bank account. This site is a valuable tool that can help you, like I said, open a safe and affordable bank account, compare what minimum deposits, are there any monthly fees, which accounts have no monthly fees, what does the overdraft protection look like on these accounts. So Bank on SF is going to be a great source for you to compare and contrast services offered by particular banks and credit unions. Okay. So, affordable, accessible banking products support your stability and reduces any friction. The friction means how easily can I withdraw money, deposit money, send money to somebody, pay a bill, you know, avoiding any sort of, fees that you may incur if you're not using, you don't have those tools with you, from, having to spend money on cashing a check or write a money order or whatever it may be, right? Or not having a safe place to store your hard-earned savings, right? So, yeah, banking is important and is part of your infrastructure for your foundation. All right. Building a strong banking setup. So, a strong banking foundation often includes having a checking account for everyday spending. Most of you here probably do have a checking account, right? This is where you see your direct deposits go, where you cash your checks, where money's exiting to pay bills and so forth and make ends meet. So, checking account, very important. Savings account for emergencies and goals. Your savings account could be a savings account for particular, like I said, like your particular goals. Maybe you're looking to save to make a big purchase or whatever, or having an emergency fund set up. Your emergency fund set up is not mentioned here how much it should be, but it should be 3 to 6 months at minimum of your living expenses, your necessary living expenses, the rent, the food, the mortgage, the health insurance, the car note potentially. These are you're otherwise sometimes lopped in with your fixed expenses, right? So the necessary expenses will be part of your emergency fund. That emergency fund is important because it is your rainy day fund. If something were to happen to you, you were to lose employment, there was a big expense that needs to be covered. This is the money that you would pull from, right? So a savings account, ideally, with low or no monthly fees. Ultimately, the banking system is benefiting by having your hard-earned dollars in there. This is how banks operate, and banks make money by using your money to issue out loans and so forth. It's part of the system, so I'm all for not having to pay the bank a monthly fee for my money, to hold my money. Having an online or mobile access is very important. We live in a digital world. You want to be able to access your accounts right away at the palm of your fingertips, right? Or however that goes, right? I might have said that wrong. Just having a mobile banking access is very important, and a clear guideline of the overdraft policies is going to be very important. You need to understand those disclosures, right? So again, I will plug Bank on SF if you're looking to get with a new bank or credit union and want to review those guidelines. What are the minimums and so forth, right? What's most affordable for you? So the right setup could match your financial needs. It should not complicate them. Let me go into the chat to see if we have any questions. Are credit unions better than banks? There's no yes or no to that answer or to that question. Credit unions are cooperative, are smaller scale. From my research and understanding, sometimes credit unions offer better interest rates, which means lower or more favorable interest rates, are more flexible for clients going through hardships. In my personal experience working with clients and the respective credit unions. So, better per se. It depends. You might have more access and available banking opportunities in the big commercial bank system, but it's up to you and up to your needs, right? How many bank accounts should you recommend someone to have? Definitely a checking account is going to be very important, and some form of savings account. It could be a traditional savings account at a bank or credit union. This could be a high yield savings account, whatever it is to store your emergency fund or a savings fund for your whatever goals you may have. Emergency savings don't include debt payments. They do include your minimum debt obligations, right? So whatever your minimum debt obligation is, whether it's a minimum on a credit card payment, a student loan, the mortgage, the auto loan, whatever it is going to be part of your it could include that because if you were to not pay those debt obligations, they will negatively affect your credit score. You don't want to experience delinquencies, right, and trouble down the road. So your minimum debt obligations could be included into your emergency savings fund. Great question. Great question. Um, Good. Okay, we're about halfway through the presentation, so we should be good on time. Any more questions here? Any more questions? How safe are high yield online savings accounts with no physical bank? As long as they're FDIC insured, you should be good to go. Just know that with a high yield savings account, you do generally will lose that flexibility to be able to go somewhere physically to obtain your money, right? But just know that at least you can transfer your money between that into your checking, for example, or maybe your commercial or credit union savings account, so forth, within a reasonable amount of time. Maybe you can wire the money if you need it right away, right? So, good question. Good question, Cynthia. All right, let's keep it pushing though, guys. Setting a SMART financial goal is very important. SMART is an acronym in personal finance that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Okay, I know you guys don't see that on the slide, but it's pretty straightforward. Specific, measurable, meaning how can you quantify it? Attainable, timeline, and realistic, right? So instead of saying we all go through this, I can relate. I'm sure you guys can all relate. I need to save more money. That's a very valid feeling to have or notion to go through. But instead of saying, I need to save more money, how about we say, I want to save $1,000 for emergencies by setting aside $85 per month over the next 12 months. I know it's wordy, right? But it's very specific. We have an amount, total amount. We want to save 1,000. For what reason? Emergencies. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this attainable? We're going to save $85 per month. Maybe we're going to initiate an auto transfer from checkings to savings, or maybe I'm physically going to put money aside. Whatever it may be, that's the game plan, $85 per month. And the time-bound goal, 12 months, right? So saying it out loud, writing it on your notes on your phone or on paper or working with a counselor like myself, this is a SMART goal, right? Clarity reduces the feeling of being overwhelmed and guides decisions, right? So, any questions regarding this example of a SMART goal? And feel free to type a SMART goal that you may have yourself, right? It doesn't need to be around saving money. Maybe you're looking to pay off a credit card balance, so create a SMART goal about that. How long, what is it going to take? How much are you willing to pay? And so forth. So think of a SMART goal, right? Write it down. Put it in your mental notes on your phone. Write it out right now. Feel free to put it in the comments. I'll read through them later, right? Give me a good SMART goal, guys. So, all right. Oop, sorry, guys. All right. The structure and system, spending plans and credit. So spending plans and credit work together to support your stability. Going back to this picture about personal finance and the financial basics being like a house. A spending plan guides daily money decisions. In essence, you're assigning purpose for every dollar that you're bringing in, and giving it a sense of direction. Right? This is your spending plan. This is your budget. A spending plan guides daily money decisions. Credit provides flexibility when used intentionally. Okay, so also known as using it in a form of having a game plan when using credit. So it offers the flexibility because what is credit? Credit is a tool that allows you to buy now and pay later. Okay. It's not quite literally like you see in nowadays on all these fintech products and services, buy now, pay later. That's trapping a lot of consumers in our society. The buy now, pay later system is originally from credit. You're repaying back what you have spent via credit, right? So, well, you're supposed to repay it back. That's the notion of using credit, right? So credit provides flexibility, like I said. Both support your real life, should support your real life, and not create stress. So these tools strengthen your foundation when used with awareness. An example of being unaware when using, for example, credit as part of your daily spending plan is exceeding um, what you can realistically afford to pay for things if you didn't have the credit, right? So, not having that awareness or not have the intentionality of using credit as a tool, as a whereas you, for example, were to use the credit, without that notion that could lead to problems in your spending plan. Okay. Let's check the chat real quick. The physical banks aren't storing your money underground, which is why online banks are pretty much the same. Just no safety deposit box or whatever physical. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. It's not like you're putting your money there and it's expected to be there per se. It's all part of the money system that's circulating. So I like to talk to people about, if you ever remember learning about the Great Depression, back when there were bank runs back in the day when people were scared and went to the bank to get in line to feel because they said, well, my money's got to be here, right? I got to pull it out, and they couldn't pull it out, right? It's not like that's a good point. Gregory, regarding it's not just physically there. There are tools about a bank that offer accessibility like deposit boxes that are great, for storing certain things of value, right? So, can't see.
I'm sorry, Carlos. When you, it seems like when you open the chat, it covers the slides.
Oh,
So
sorry
there's
about
a
that,
black
guys.
box or over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm opening the chat box there just because, like I said, I'm a one-man show here. Sorry about that, guys, but I did go through the slide and then I'm reading the chat. Um, but I'll try to limit the how often I pull that chat or how long I keep that chat box up. Sorry, guys. Um, where are we here now? All right, next slide. Okay. Next poll question, guys. How would you describe your current approach to managing your money? A, I have a plan and review it regularly. B, I have a plan but don't look at it often. C, I track things loosely when I feel stressed. D, excuse me. I mostly react as things come up. Or E, I'm not sure where to start. So, like I said, select an option, type it away in the chat, and also feel free to put a combination of them. Doesn't need to be just one answer. All right, what do we got in the chat here? Please move this window away from the shared application. If I move it here, Havisa, can they see the option still?
Yes, they can see it.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So C, D, E, B, C, mix of A and C, and I always feel stressed about money. B, D and B, D, A, B. Okay. So again, like in the last poll, very diverse, right? And all of these are common, right? So as it pertains to describing your approach to managing your money. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, spending plan. What's included in your spending plan? I touched base on one of these categories earlier, as it pertains to your fixed expenses, right? But spending plans show where your money goes and what it supports. So most of these plans will include your fixed expenses, your rent or mortgage, your utilities, your insurance, your minimum debt payments, right? Your variable expenses are your groceries, transportation, dining and entertainment. Dining and entertainment could be known as discretionary spending, right? As well. Your future focused is your savings, your extra debt payments, your financial goals. If I were to assign maybe a percentage, a good budget rule, and of course it could be modified, right? But there's a common budget percentage breakdown that is used in personal finance known as the 50/30/20. So 50% of your income would go towards your fixed expenses, your 30% would be towards your variable expenses, and 20% would be towards your savings or investment or other future focused goals, right? 50/30/20. Of course, based on our income and our expenses, we're going to probably have to tweak certain percentages of the budget, maybe due to limited income, outstanding expenses that are, creating a strenuous deficit, or if there's a big surplus, whatever it may be. But a 50/30/20 could be a starting point if you wanted to assign a percentage of what goes towards your needs, wants, and then savings and investment, right? So let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Yeah, no, that's a great point. 50/30/20 cannot work in, especially in high cost of living areas like San Francisco or the Bay Area. No, that's a very valid point. Okay, this person goes into talking about the Great Depression history. We can definitely touch base on that. I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with you there on that one, Bevington. Okay, yeah, 50/30/20 could definitely not work in SF. But if your income and your expenses, taking a look at those work out, 50/30/20 can absolutely work. But yeah, you make a good point. It's very expensive. I don't think you made that point. I interpreted that point that you said. Read between the lines. All right, spending plan. All right, spending plans. How to create and maintain one. A spending plan is a living tool, not a test. It should not be a test, meaning it should not crack you or fold you under the pressure, right? So how to create one. Start with a take-home income, otherwise known as your net. All right, gross would be, pre-tax, net, take-home is post, right? So start with your take-home income, list out your fixed expenses first, add your variable categories based on real spending, align with current priorities. And of course, revisit and adjust as life changes. This is part of the bread and butter work that I do as a financial counselor or a coach. That if you wanted to work with me on creating a budget, a sustainable budget, or whatever it may be, feel free to schedule that session, right? I provide valuable insight and perspective on your income and your expenses. Again, circling back to the point earlier, in a confidential, judgment-free manner, right? And that's my approach. That's my style. But also we'll be able to provide you any sort of valuable budgeting resources, spreadsheets, articles, infographics, and so forth, right? So we can really take a look at that in a comprehensive manner. All right, credit, how it's built and maintained. Credit is established and maintained through consistent habits. Like I said, credit is, the ability to buy now and pay back later, okay? So healthy credit behaviors include using credit in manageable amounts. That just pertains to the notion of kind of living within your means. Sometimes the bank or the credit union are going to offer you a large limit that you can borrow, right? And it might be well out of your realm or your budget, right? So you can't afford, and then you end up accruing and carrying balance and paying more for goods and services, right? That's what you want to avoid. You don't want to, the cost of living is so high, and paying for goods and services, paying more than what you paid upfront for goods and services through, paying APRs and interest charges. It just makes things a lot harder, right? So make payments on time. Pretty straightforward. Just pay your bills on time. That's a big component of your credit score. All right. Keeping your credit manageable in terms of the amounts, in terms of your balances. That's the second most important factor of your credit score. So keeping your balances relatively low. Okay. Keep balances reasonable. Understanding your borrowing costs, right? You signed an agreement, right? Understanding, what am I subject to paying in interest if I do not repay back, right? Understanding those costs. Maintain a healthy credit score, or your FICO score is part of, an overall personal financial goal and standard that we are looking to attain. Whether and if you have bad credit, well, guess what? It's not the end all be all. It can be and should, and will be rebuilt, right? With an appropriate game plan. Okay. Or if you're looking to establish credit for the first time, having all this information at your disposal is going to give you a head start into building into building credit for the first time. And as a counselor, I also inform people on how to go about, establishing credit if they have no credit history. Okay. Small, consistent actions build to a strong credit foundation. That goes with just about everything. All right. And as it pertains to earning, saving, spending, using credit, and so forth. Okay. So let's see if there's any questions in the chat. How do we get in contact with me? Yeah, there's going to be a link at the top of the chat where you can schedule a counseling session. Okay. And I'll ensure to drop it again before we end. Do you have a spreadsheet template to help with a spending plan? Yeah, the available templates that you can utilize. I will also not directly advocate using a particular budgeting tool, but I will let you know that there are a variety of apps and free valuable budgeting apps that you can take advantage of. Okay. Some of these budgeting apps may sell you, may have some bells and whistles for you to pay if you want to pay a little subscription for that. But there are a bunch of free tools out there that you can use. Okay. So let's keep it going. Credit, what a healthy debt load looks like. The goal isn't no debt, it's manageable, intentional debt. Yeah, I can agree with this. I mean, there are different schools of thought here. I mean, the idea or being debt free is also a realistic and attainable goal that many people are striving for, and many people who will have no debt would advocate that living debt free is a phenomenal feeling, right? But for what the sake of the slide says, it's manageable. The goal is no debt. It's manageable, intentional debt. Yeah, that makes sense. So, and manageable, it just means that as it pertains to living within your means and using debt as a tool, right? Okay. A healthy debt load fits within your monthly cash flow, like I said, within your means, within your spending plan. Doesn't prevent saving or covering essentials. Very important. Saving is important because it's another way of looking at it as paying yourself, right? Or building for your savings, whatever goal that you have as it pertains to savings or the emergency savings fund, right? And covering essentials, of course. Healthy debt load shouldn't be covering all of your essentials. Credit can help us cover those essentials when times are tough, but just know that it is not a sustainable way to make ends meet using debt. Okay, using credit. Support goals rather than constant stress. Yeah, it's a tool. Sometimes you may be playing the credit card game and actually saving a lot on essential goods or services that you decide to purchase, right? That you have in your spending plan, and getting some cash back or some points, and like I said, living within your means, paying the bill on time, and so forth could be a valuable support tool, right? Yeah, debt should support your foundation, not weigh you down. Let's see the
Carlos,
chat.
just a time check. We have 5 minutes.
All right, we will rapid fire here. Cynthia, that's a great question. We could talk about it one-on-one, and I can't go into depth about Bitcoin, Ramona. Okay. All right. Tax planning, part of long-term financial wellness. Taxes are part of your financial wellness, not just a once-a-year task. So just like Jonathan and Haviza talked about, take advantage of those tax resources and the opportunities to work on your taxes within SFPL's program and so forth. VITA is a valuable tool, also known as Vita. Can help you seek tax professional assistance if you meet the income requirement, which is going to be less than $69,000 per year. You can get that free tax help assistance. Okay, tax planning includes filling out your tax return accurately and one time each year, understanding how taxes affect your income and savings. Yep, as it pertains to, like, for example, withholdings and so forth. Planning for taxes owed or refunds intentionally. That's important. Whether you're getting, a no refund or substantial refund, knowing what that means, right? And being intentional with it. Or if you're planning to owe the federal or state government, just have a plan for that, right? So being proactive reduces stress and protects your financial foundation. Yeah, the IRS is not to mess with, guys. So, all right. Uh, being strategic about taxes and retirement savings, so your tax situation connects to long-term planning, right? This, as it pertains to, for example, if you're contributing pre or post-tax dollars into a tax advantageous retirement account, right? This all connects. This may include reviewing withholdings to avoid surprises, right? Whether you're going to owe at the end of the year, right? Understanding how retirement contributions affect taxes, taking advantage of tax advantageous accounts. What did I just talk about, right? Whether it's a 401k, Roth, etc., right? Seeking support when tax situations feel complex, working with a professional, like you're going to work with a financial counselor like myself, a tax professional, an advanced planner, an estate planner, whatever it may be. Get in contact with the right licensed professionals to talk about your situation as it pertains to your personal finance and how it is very, very important. Smart tax planning supports both today's cash flow and your future security, right? So, all right, protection, savings, and insurance. So, these tools will help your financial foundation withstanding these surprises. So, keep protective layers include, like I said, the emergency savings fund, insurance, health, auto, renters, homeowners, life as applicable. Life throws curveballs. We go through rainy days in life, having those important insurance tools. Some of these are absolutely necessary. If you, for example, auto is by law, you must have auto insurance if you have a vehicle on the road that you're driving. Health insurance is becoming mandated, right? And, that goes without saying. That'll protect you, right? And so forth, right? So these are the protective layers, insurance and savings. These tools are important because it can help you prevent any sort of long-term setbacks or challenges. So let's go into the next question. The roof. All right, we're at the top of the house. So long-term planning and retirement. Long-term planning protects the future you. So this includes retirement savings, long-term financial goals that we developed with maybe establishing a SMART goal, right? Planning for future needs. These is part of the top layer and is part of this long-term planning. All right. So you don't need to finish this today, but planning ahead matters, right? So depending on your age, where you are in your career, where you are at what life stage, planning for the future is going to look very different, right? It's going to look very different for many, many of us, right? So that this poll question, I would love for you guys to answer. We still have 2 minutes here. Which area of your financial foundation would you most like to strengthen next? A, B, C, D, E, or a combination of them? All right. And again, these are all topics that we can work on together if you're looking to work with somebody like myself or any of my fellow colleagues from Balance. So let's see what we got here. A. Okay. B, C, A, B, B, D, E, B, D, E. No, absolutely. Just like the last couple of polls, very diverse. And there is no, well, right answer, right? It depends on your specific situation, your specific needs, and what you're willing to work on today, moving forward. Ongoing maintenance, financial wellness over time. Financial wellness is built through ongoing care, maintenance, best practices. Keep your goals in mind when making money decisions. Revisit your plan as life changes. Distinguish between wants and needs. This is very important. Identify want and needs. What are your triggers that maybe get you to spend on certain things that are wants when in reality you could postpone those, right? Delayed gratification, wants and needs. Delayed gratification is a central theme as it pertains to that. Especially under stress, pay yourself first by prioritizing saving. Like I said earlier, guys, saving is not just a task you should do. Consider it as a bill to yourself. I am paying myself by deciding to save, even if it is a little bit of money. A little bit of money over a long period of time goes a long way. All right. Financial wellness grows through habits. It's not perfect. It's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be a smooth road. It's going to be bumpy, but consistency, due diligence, being conscientious, working with the right people, your friends and family will help you over time, guys. And we are at time. Key takeaways here. I basically reiterated a lot of these for the sake of time. We are at 1 o'clock, guys. I'm so sorry for taking a while. Call to action. Remember, revisit your financial goal, keep it visible, adjust your plan, schedule a counseling session with a coach like myself, work with your friends and family or your close support group, your partner, your wife, your husband, so forth. Regularly check things. Be aware, have structure, and be resilient, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to come today. I don't think we have time for questions and answers, but Havisa and Jonathan, anything that you would like to note
Well,
here?
thank you, Carlos, for that
Yeah.
informative presentation.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us today. We hope to see you sign up for a San Francisco Financial Counseling session and join us again next month for our webinar, Digital Financial Services with Balance, on April 16th from noon to 1 p.m. to learn about the fundamentals of electronic banking. And thank you all again for joining us today. I'll be sharing the recording along with the slides from today's presentations. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Use that handout, book an appointment, and review the slide again if need be. Take care, guys.